The kitchen door is blue, paint peeling near the handle where countless hands have pushed it open over the years. Lucien stands before it in the darkness, his hand raised to knock, and finds he cannot make himself complete the gesture. What if she has changed her mind? What if the daylight brought clarity and she realized offering him this chance was a mistake? What if she opens the door only to tell him to leave and never return? He has faced armies. Has stared down vampire hunters with silver weapons and holy water. Has survived 3 centuries of darkness and violence and loss. But the thought of that door opening to reveal rejection makes him want to flee into the night and never look back. He knocks. 3 soft raps that sound too loud in the quiet evening. For a long moment, nothing. Then he hears footsteps, slow, heavy, the gait of someone carrying extra weight. The door opens and Serafina stands there, one hand braced against the frame, the other resting on her swollen belly. She looks tired. Her face is pale, shadows under her eyes, and he can see the toll these months have taken written in the lines around her mouth. She is still the most beautiful thing he has ever seen. "You came," she says quietly. "I will always come when you call. For as long as you'll have me." He stays on the threshold, doesn't presume to enter. "May I come in?" She steps back, holds the door open wider. Mrs. Hartley is in the front room. "We'll talk in here." He enters the small kitchen and the scent of her hits him like a physical blow, honey and roses, and underneath it all that strange, sweet smell of the impossible life growing inside her. His dead heart, which has not beat in 300 years, seems to ache in his chest. She gestures to the small table by the window. 2 chairs, scarred wood, mismatched but sturdy. She lowers herself into one with a small grunt of effort and he takes the other, careful to maintain distance, to make himself as unthreatening as possible. For a long moment they simply look at each other across the table. The last time they were this close, he was telling her the truth that shattered her world. Now they sit in awkward silence, 2 broken people trying to figure out how to build something from rubble. "How are you feeling?" he asks finally, because he needs to say something and her health seems the safest topic. "Tired. Heavy. My back aches constantly and I have to use the privy every hour." She says it matter-of-factly, without embarrassment. "The baby is active. Kicks all night long, so I barely sleep." Mrs. Hartley says that's normal for the last months. "Is there anything I can do? Anything you need? You can answer my questions honestly." Her gaze is direct, unflinching. "That's what I need from you. Complete honesty. No more lies, no more manipulation, no more careful omissions. If I ask you something, you tell me the truth. Even if you think it will hurt me. Even if you're ashamed. Especially then. Can you do that?" "Yes." He doesn't hesitate. "Ask me anything." She takes a breath, seems to steel herself. "Did you ever love me? Really love me? Or was even that feeling part of the deception?" "I loved you." The words come raw and immediate. "I love you still. I fell in love with you the 3rd week we were at the lodge. You were reading that poetry book I gave you, sitting by the window in the afternoon light, and you were crying, just quiet tears running down your face because the verses were so beautiful. And I realized I would give anything to be the kind of man who could make you cry from joy instead of sadness. That was the moment I knew. And I have loved you every moment since, even as I was planning to destroy you. Especially as I was planning to destroy you, because that's when I understood what a monster I truly was." She absorbs this in silence, her hands folded over her belly. The blood covenant. The ritual that made the pregnancy possible. You said it requires genuine love. Did you know about it before we married? No. I swear to you, I had no idea such a thing still existed. The church destroyed that knowledge centuries ago, hunted down every vampire who knew the old ways. I thought it was myth, legend, something from a time before my own turning. If I had known." He stops, because he doesn't know how to finish that sentence. Would he have changed his plans? Would he have avoided touching her that night? Would he have let 300 years of hate go for a love he didn't yet understand? He felt. "If you had known," she prompts. "I don't know," he admits. "I want to say I would have stopped. That I would have chosen differently. But I was so consumed by rage, so twisted by centuries of grief, that I can't honestly say what I would have done." And you asked for honesty. She nods slowly, seems to appreciate the admission even if she doesn't like it. When did you start to regret it? The plan, I mean. The 5th week of our marriage. You burned your hand on the stove while cooking, just a small burn, nothing serious. But I felt your pain like it was my own. I realized I would rather suffer every torment hell could devise than watch you hurt. And I knew then that I couldn't go through with it. Except I also couldn't not go through with it, because 300 years of hate had carved grooves so deep in my soul I didn't know how to step out of them. So I kept moving forward even as every part of me screamed to stop. Then why tell me at all? Her voice breaks slightly on the question. If you couldn't go through with transforming me, why tell me the truth? You could have just left. Disappeared. Let me believe Cassian died in an accident. I would have grieved, but I would have had the baby and the memory of something I thought was beautiful. Why take even that from me? This is the question he has asked himself every night for 6 months. The one he has no good answer for. Because I'm a coward, he says finally. Because I couldn't bear the weight of the lie anymore, and I chose to unburden myself even though it meant destroying you. Because some broken part of me thought if you knew the truth, you might still. He stops, shakes his head. It doesn't matter what I thought. There's no good reason. I was selfish and cruel and I chose my own relief over your peace. I'm sorry. It's not enough, I know, but I'm sorry. She looks at him for a long moment, and he sees her weighing his words, testing them for truth. Finally she nods. All right. I believe you. You do. I believe you're telling me the truth now, yes. I don't forgive you. But I believe you. She shifts in her chair, grimaces slightly and puts a hand to her lower back. I need you to tell me about vampires. About what you are. Because if our child carries any of your nature, I need to know what to expect. What to watch for. How to keep them safe. Relief washes through him. This he can do. This is concrete, practical, not weighted with emotion and guilt. What do you want to know? Everything. Start with the basics. What does it mean that you're undead? And so he tells her. Explains that he died 307 years ago, killed by a plague that swept through his village, his body placed in the ground alongside his wife and infant son who had died days before him. Explains that Irina found him that night, newly buried, and saw something in him worth saving. She gave him her blood and he rose 3 days later as something new. I'm not alive in the way you understand it, he explains. My heart doesn't beat. I don't breathe unless I choose to for the purpose of speech or scent. I don't age. I can be destroyed but I cannot die of natural causes. The sun burns me not to ash like the stories say, but it causes terrible pain and damage that takes days to heal. I'm stronger than any human, faster, my senses are sharper. I can hear your heartbeat from across the room. Can hear 2 heartbeats now, yours and the baby's is impossibly fast, like a bird's. Do you need to kill to feed? Her voice is steady but he can hear the fear underneath. No. I need blood, yes, but I don't need to kill for it. I can take a little from many people, or take more from one person but stop before it's lethal. Most vampires kill because it's easier, because they've lost their connection to humanity, because they like the power. But it's not necessary for survival. I also have certain abilities. I can compel humans to forget things they've seen, to do small actions, to accept suggestions. It requires eye contact and focus, and it doesn't work on everyone. Strong-willed people can resist. But it's useful for maintaining secrecy. Have you killed? He meets her eyes. Yes. Many times over 3 centuries. Some in self-defense. Some to feed when I was younger and less controlled. Some because I was king and violence was expected. And some he swallows. Some simply because I could, because I was angry at the world and they were there. I'm not the man I was when I was human, Serafina. I've done terrible things. But you haven't killed recently? Since you've been following me? No. I've been feeding from travelers, taking small amounts they don't even notice, leaving them with nothing worse than a headache and hazy memories. I take no more than I must to maintain the strength to protect you. She's quiet for a moment, processing this. Then, the baby. What do you think they'll be like? I don't know. I've never heard of such a child existing in living memory. But based on what the covenant requires, genuine love, willing vulnerability, sacred commitment, I think the magic itself would not create something monstrous. I think your child will be extraordinary. Will have some of my strengths, perhaps, but also your humanity. Your warmth. Your capacity for love. Will they need blood? The question is whispered, frightened. I don't know, he admits. Perhaps. Or perhaps they'll be able to eat normal food. Perhaps they'll need both. We won't know until they're born. But Serafina, whatever they need, we'll figure it out. Together. I swear to you. She nods slowly, then another question. Mrs. Hartley, does she know? About you? No. I've been careful. She's seen me only from a distance, and only in darkness. As far as she knows, I'm just a man who visits you. Strange perhaps, but human. She'll need to know eventually. When you start visiting regularly. I won't lie to her, she's been too kind to me. Tell her whatever you're comfortable telling. That I'm the father, that he struggles for the right word. Unusual. That there are things about me that are difficult to explain. She doesn't need to know the specifics unless you want her to. I'll think about it. She shifts again, uncomfortable, and he sees her wince. You're in pain. My back. The weight of the baby. It's normal, Mrs. Hartley says, but he can see the exhaustion in her face, the toll this pregnancy is taking. May I? He stops, unsure if he has the right to offer. I could help. If you'd permit it. I could massage your back, ease some of the pain. I wouldn't, I'd just be helping. Nothing more. She looks at him for a long moment, weighing risks, testing her own boundaries. Finally she nods. All right. But you stop the moment I tell you to. Of course. She stands with effort and turns her back to him, bracing her hands on the table. He rises and moves behind her, keeping a careful distance at first. Then, slowly, he places his cool hands on her lower back, finds the knots of tension there, and begins to knead gently. She gasps at the first touch, whether from relief or discomfort he can't tell, but then she relaxes slightly, lets him work. His hands remember this, remember learning the geography of her body during those 8 weeks. But this is different. This isn't seduction or pleasure. This is service. Atonement. There, she breathes. Right there. Oh God, that helps. He works in silence, finding each knot and easing it, using his strength carefully, measuring every movement. Her scent surrounds him, honey and roses, and that sweet undertone of pregnancy and desire rises sharp and unwelcome. He pushes it down. This isn't about what he wants. This is about what she needs. After perhaps 10 minutes, she straightens. That's enough. Thank you. He steps back immediately, puts distance between them. Of course. She turns to face him, and something in her expression has softened slightly. You're good at that. At making me feel better. You always were. It's what I want most. To make you feel better. To undo what I did. He hears the desperation in his own voice and tries to rein it in. I know I can't. I know the damage is permanent. But I'll spend whatever time you give me trying anyway. She studies him for a long moment. Then, Mrs. Hartley will want to meet you eventually. If you're going to be part of this baby's life, she'll need to know you exist. She's protective of me. I'll meet her whenever you're ready. I'll answer whatever questions she has. I'll do whatever you need to make this work. She stops, seems to struggle with the words. I need you to be patient. I need you to understand that trust isn't something I can just give back to you. You'll have to earn it piece by piece, day by day, and there will be setbacks. There will be days I can barely look at you. Days I'll remember what you did and want you gone. Can you handle that? Yes. I can handle anything except losing you completely. Losing the chance to know our child. That I couldn't survive. Then we'll try. Slowly. Carefully. For the baby's sake. For the baby's sake, he agrees, even though it's for her sake too, even though every moment near her and not able to hold her is exquisite torture. They talk for another hour. She asks more questions about his nature, about vampire society, about the kingdom he gave up. He answers everything honestly, holds nothing back. Tells her about the assassination attempts, about the lieutenant who now holds his former power, about how thoroughly he had to dismantle his own position to make himself untraceable. Finally, exhaustion pulls at her features and she yawns despite trying to hide it. "You need to rest," he says. "I should go. Will you come back? Tomorrow night? Every night, if you'll have me. Or as often as you want me here. I'm at your disposal, Serafina." "Completely." She nods. "Come back in 3 days. That's all I can manage right now. Seeing you more often than that is too much. 3 days. I'll be here." He moves to the door, pauses with his hand on the frame. "Thank you for giving me this chance. I don't deserve it, but I'm grateful beyond words. Don't thank me yet. This is a trial, Lucien. You could still fail. I won't. I can't afford to." He slips out into the night and she closes the door behind him. He stands in the darkness for a moment, listening to her move through the small house, listening to the steady beat of her heart and the rapid flutter of the child's. Then he turns and disappears into shadow, already counting the hours until he can return. 3 days. He can survive 3 days. He has survived 3 centuries. 3 days should be nothing. But somehow, knowing she's so close and yet still so far away makes every hour stretch like an eternity. The visits develop a rhythm over the following weeks. Every 3 days he knocks on the kitchen door after dark. Every 3 days she lets him in and they talk about the baby, about practical matters, about her growing discomfort as the pregnancy progresses. He massages her back, her swollen feet, her aching legs. He fetches things from high shelves she can no longer reach. He listens to her fears about childbirth, about whether she'll be a good mother, about what kind of creature her child will be. He tells her about Irina, about the woman she was before Valerus killed her. About her kindness, her wisdom, her insistence that vampires could choose to be more than monsters. About how she taught him to value human life even as his own humanity slipped away. "She would have liked you," he says one night, and realizes it's true. "She would have seen what I see, your strength, your capacity to love even when you've been given so little love in return. She would have told me I was a fool for planning to hurt you." She sounds wise, Serafina says quietly. "She was. I dishonored her memory with what I did to you. She died protecting me, and I used that death as an excuse for cruelty. That's not what she would have wanted." After 4 weeks of visits, Serafina finally tells Mrs. Hartley that Lucien will be coming to help when the baby arrives. The old woman insists on meeting him, so the next evening when he arrives, Serafina brings him into the front room where Mrs. Hartley sits by the fire, knitting. The old woman looks him up and down with sharp, assessing eyes, takes in his pallor and his too careful movements and the way he positions himself as far from the firelight as possible. "You're the father, then," she says bluntly. "Yes, You look half dead, boy. And you only come at night. Why is that?" Lucien meets her gaze steadily. "I have a condition. A sensitivity to sunlight. It causes me terrible pain, damages my skin. I've had it since I was young. It's why I keep such unusual hours. And you'll be here to help with the child? To support Serafina properly? I will. I know I wasn't here for much of the pregnancy. I was ashamed of how I'd failed her, afraid to face her. But I'm here now, and I'll be here for whatever comes." Mrs. Hartley studies him for a long moment, her eyes narrowed. Then she looks at Serafina. "And you trust him? After everything?" "I'm learning to," Serafina says quietly. "He's been patient, kind, helpful. I think he deserves a chance to prove himself." Mrs. Hartley turns back to Lucien. "I'll be watching, mind you. You step wrong, you hurt her again, and you'll answer to me. I don't care what condition you have or how strong you might be. Understood?" "Yes, I wouldn't expect otherwise." He inclines his head respectfully. "And I'm grateful you've been taking care of her. She's told me how kind you've been, how much you've helped her." "Thank you." The old woman's expression softens slightly at that. "Well, at least you have some manners." She picks up her knitting again. "You can stay for tea." Let me see if you're the sort of man who makes decent conversation or just sits there like a lump. They sit and talk carefully, Lucien navigating questions about his past and his family with half-truths that aren't quite lies. He's from a distant region, he explains. Lost his family young. Has been traveling for years. Settled in the valley looking for peace. All true enough, if lacking crucial details. Mrs. Hartley seems satisfied, though he catches her watching him with a shrewdness that makes him wonder how much she suspects. When he leaves, she corners Serafina in the kitchen. There's something not right about that man, she says bluntly. But I can see he cares for you. And I can see you care for him, even if you're fighting it. Just be careful, child. I've lived long enough to know that sometimes the people we love are the ones who can hurt us most. I know, Serafina says softly. I know. 7.5 months into the pregnancy, Serafina develops complications. Her feet swell so badly she can barely walk. Her blood pressure rises, Lucien can hear it in the force of her heartbeat, can smell something wrong in her blood. Mrs. Hartley calls for the midwife, a practical woman named Agnes who examines Serafina with brisk efficiency. The baby's too big, Agnes announces. And positioned wrong. Breech, I think, though it's hard to tell. She needs to rest completely. No work, no walking around. Just rest and pray the baby turns before labor starts. Serafina looks terrified. What if it doesn't turn? What happens then? Then childbirth will be difficult and dangerous, Agnes says bluntly. For both of you. You'd need a doctor, probably surgery, and even then, she shakes her head. Best not to borrow trouble. Rest. Pray. We'll see what happens. After Agnes leaves, Lucien finds Serafina alone in her room, crying silently. He hesitates at the door, unsure if his presence will help or hurt. Then she sees him and something in her face crumbles. I'm scared, she whispers. I'm so scared. What if the baby dies? What if I die? What if we both? He crosses to her without thinking, kneels beside her bed, takes her hand in his cool one. You're not going to die. Neither is the baby. I won't allow it. You can't stop it. You can't control this. No. But I can help. Serafina, listen to me. Vampire blood has healing properties. If something goes wrong during the birth, if you start bleeding too much or the baby is in distress, my blood could save you. Both of you. She stares at him. Your blood. But wouldn't that transform me? Not if I control the amount. A transformation requires the person to be near death and to consume a significant quantity, at least a pint, usually more, taken with the intent to transform. A few drops, a few swallows for healing, won't transform you. It'll just help your body repair itself faster. Give you strength. There will be some minor effects, yes, enhanced senses, faster healing, perhaps a few extra decades of life. But you'll remain human. Remain mortal. I've seen it work. Irina used to heal humans she fed from if she accidentally took too much. Small amounts help. Large amounts transform. I know the difference. And the baby. If the baby needs it. The baby already carries some of my nature through the covenant. My blood won't hurt them. It might even help, strengthen whatever parts of them are vampire, help them survive the birth. She squeezes his hand so tightly it would hurt if he were human. Promise me. Promise me that if something goes wrong, you'll do whatever it takes to save the baby. Even if I don't make it. No, the word is flat, absolute. I won't promise that. If it comes down to choosing, I choose you. Every time. I can't, Serafina, I can't lose you. I can't exist in a world where you're not in it. But the baby. I will do everything in my power to save you both. But if I have to choose, I choose you. I'm sorry, but that's not negotiable. She looks at him for a long moment, tears streaming down her face. Then, quietly, what if I ordered you to save the baby? What if I made it a condition of whatever this is between us? Then I would lie to you. Tell you I agreed and then save you anyway. I've lied to you before, Serafina. I won't do it again except for this. This is the only lie I'm willing to tell, that I could let you die. Because I can't. I couldn't survive it. She starts to cry in earnest then, deep sobs that shake her whole body. He moves to sit on the edge of the bed and pulls her into his arms, the first time he's held her since that night at the lodge 8 months ago. She doesn't pull away. Instead she buries her face in his chest and cries until she has no tears left. "I'm terrified," she whispers against his shirt. "I'm so terrified." "I know. I am too." "You're scared?" "Terrified. More scared than I've been in 300 years. Because for the first time in all those years, I have something to lose that matters more than my own existence." She pulls back slightly to look at his face. "You really love me? Despite everything? Despite how I've treated you? You really love me? With everything I am? Everything I was? Everything I'll ever be?" She reaches up and touches his face, the first time she's initiated physical contact since he told her the truth. Her fingers trace his cheekbone, his jaw, the corner of his mouth. "I can't love you back. Not yet. Not after everything. But I don't hate you. And I'm glad you're here." That's enough. He turns his head and presses a kiss to her palm. "That's more than I deserve." She lets him hold her until she falls asleep, exhausted from crying and fear. He stays through the night, sitting in the chair beside her bed, listening to the dual rhythm of her heartbeat and the baby's, praying to gods he stopped believing in centuries ago that they'll both survive what's coming. 2 weeks before the baby is due, Serafina goes into early labor. It's the middle of the night and Lucien is outside, keeping watch as he does every night, when he hears her cry out. He's through the kitchen door and up the stairs before Mrs. Hartley even wakes. He finds Serafina on her bed, clutching her stomach, her face white with pain. "It's too early," she gasps. "The baby's not supposed to come for 2 more weeks. Something's wrong." Mrs. Hartley appears in the doorway, takes one look, and starts barking orders. "You, Lucien, go fetch Agnes. Run. She lives in the house with the red door 3 streets over. Tell her the baby's coming early and breach. Go now." He goes, moving with inhuman speed through the dark streets. He finds Agnes and brings her back within minutes, a feat that would have taken a human 20. Agnes takes one look at the fear in his face and doesn't question how he moved so fast. The labor is brutal. Hours that stretch into an eternity. Serafina's screams echo through the small house as Agnes works, trying to turn the baby, trying to ease its passage. But the child won't turn and won't come, and Serafina is bleeding too much, her heartbeat growing weaker with each passing hour. "I can't do this," Agnes says finally, her face grim, her hands covered in blood. She needs a surgeon. Surgery might save the baby, but it will almost certainly kill her. The wound would be too large, the blood loss too great. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." No. Lucien pushes past her, goes to Serafina's side. She's barely conscious, her face grey, her breathing shallow. "Serafina. Serafina, look at me." Her eyes flutter open. "Is the baby?" "The baby's fine. Strong heartbeat. But you're bleeding too much. He swallows. "I need to give you my blood. Just a little. Enough to help you heal. Do I have your permission? Will I become?" "No. I swear. Just a few drops. A few swallows. Enough to help. Not enough to transform. Do you trust me?" She looks at him for a long moment. Then, barely a whisper, "Yes." He bites his own wrist, opens a vein, and brings it to her lips. "Drink. Just a little. 3 swallows, no more." She does. The taste makes her gag, copper and something ancient, something cold, but she swallows 3 small mouthfuls. Almost immediately, color returns to her face. Her heartbeat steadies, grows stronger. The bleeding slows to a manageable flow. Agnes stares, her mouth open. "What did you do? What did you give her? That's not natural." Lucien catches her gaze, focuses his will, lets his power flow into the words. "You saw me give her an old remedy. A tonic made from rare herbs. Nothing more. It helped her body heal, gave her strength. That's all you saw. That's all you'll remember." Agnes's eyes glaze slightly. "An old remedy," she repeats slowly. "Rare herbs." Nothing more. She blinks, shakes her head as if clearing cobwebs, and turns back to her work. "Well, Whatever it was, it worked. She's stabilized. I can try turning the baby again now that she's stronger. With Serafina strengthened, the next attempt to turn the baby succeeds. The child shifts position and suddenly, finally, labor progresses properly. Serafina bears down with renewed strength, screaming through the pain but fighting with everything she has, and after another hour of brutal work, the baby comes. A boy. Small but perfectly formed. He doesn't cry at first, just gasps, his tiny chest heaving, and Lucien's own dead heart seems to stop in terror. Then the baby opens his mouth and wails, a sound that fills the room and announces to the world that he exists, that he lives, that he is real. Agnes cleans him quickly, efficiently, checking him over with practiced hands. He's small for a full-term baby, but then he's 2 weeks early. Lungs sound good. All his fingers and toes. She pauses, frowns. His eyes. They're strange. Already open, and so dark. Most babies have cloudy blue eyes at first. Lucien moves to look. The baby's eyes are open, unusual for a newborn, and they're deep, dark, almost black. Like Lucien's own. Like looking into shadow. Family trait, Lucien says quickly. Runs in my line. My father had the same eyes. Nothing to worry about. Agnes doesn't look entirely convinced, but she hands the baby to Serafina, who takes him with shaking hands. The child quiets immediately at his mother's touch, turns his head toward her with uncanny awareness. He's hungry, Agnes says. Let him nurse. It will help your bleeding stop, contract the womb. Serafina guides the baby to her breast and he latches on immediately, suckling with surprising strength for a newborn. She looks down at him with an expression of such overwhelming love and terror that Lucien feels his chest tighten. He's perfect, she whispers. Look at him. He's perfect. Lucien kneels beside the bed, reaches out with a trembling hand to touch his son's tiny head. The baby's hair is dark, soft as down. His skin is pale but has more color than Lucien's marble pallor. He's impossibly small and impossibly real, and Lucien cannot believe that something so beautiful could come from something as monstrous as him. What will you name him? Agnes asks as she works to clean up the blood and the afterbirth. Serafina looks at Lucien. We talked about names. We agreed on Dante. If you still want. Dante, Lucien breathes. Yes. Dante. It's perfect. The baby finishes nursing and falls asleep in Serafina's arms. She's exhausted, grey with fatigue, but alive. Healing. The drops of vampire blood are already working. He can see the flush returning to her cheeks, can hear her heart beating strong and steady. Agnes finishes her work and stands, wiping her hands, though she still looks slightly dazed, as if she's not quite sure what happened. You need rest. Both of you. I'll check on you tomorrow. But right now, sleep. The baby will wake you soon enough. She gathers her things and leaves, still shaking her head slightly. After Agnes is gone, Mrs. Hartley appears in the doorway. She looks at Lucien holding vigil beside the bed, at Serafina with the baby in her arms, and her expression is knowing. I don't know what you are, exactly, she says quietly. But I know you saved her life tonight. Thank you. She moves closer, looks down at the baby. He's beautiful. Strange, but beautiful. You'll have your hands full with this 1 inch. We will, Lucien agrees. Mrs. Hartley nods toward the door. Come. Let them rest properly. You can see them both in the morning. But Serafina's voice stops him. Wait. Lucien. Stay. Please. Mrs. Hartley looks between them, then nods slowly and leaves them alone. Lucien returns to Serafina's bedside, looks down at his wife and his son. Thank you, Serafina says quietly. For saving me. For saving us both. I know what it cost you. Giving me your blood means I'll be changed. Even if only a little. You're alive. That's all that matters. What will the changes be? You said minor effects, but what does that mean exactly? He settles carefully on the edge of the bed. Your senses will be sharper, better hearing, better vision, especially in darkness. Better sense of smell. You'll heal faster than normal. Cuts and bruises will mend in days instead of weeks. You'll be harder to kill, more resilient. And you'll likely live longer than you would have, perhaps 20, 30, 40 extra years. Not immortality, but extended life, he pauses. And you might find yourself craving blood occasionally. Not enough to harm you or make you dangerous, but enough to be noticeable. If that happens, I can help. Provide what you need so you don't have to. He stops. So I don't have to hurt anyone, she finishes. I understand. She looks down at Dante, sleeping peacefully. It's worth it. Any price would be worth it to have him alive and safe. Yes, Lucian agrees. Any price. They sit in silence for a moment. Then Serafina says, sit with us? Just for a little while. I don't want to be alone. He sits carefully on the bed beside her, terrified of jostling them. She leans against him, the baby cradled between them, and for the first time since that terrible night 8 months ago, they're a family. It's not forgiveness. It's not even close. But it's something. It's a beginning. The first weeks with Dante are chaotic. The baby sleeps in short bursts, wakes crying every few hours, needs constant attention. Serafina is healing well, faster than normal, thanks to those few swallows of vampire blood, but she's still exhausted, overwhelmed, struggling to adjust to motherhood while her body adapts to its subtle changes. Lucian comes every evening and stays through the night, helping however he can. He changes diapers, something he never imagined doing in 3 centuries of existence. He walks the floors with Dante when the baby won't settle, humming old songs from his human life in a language that no longer exists. He holds his son and marvels at every tiny finger, every small sound, every impossible proof that something good can come from terrible choices. Dante is different from human babies in small ways. He's stronger, his grip can leave marks on skin. His eyes stay that dark, almost black color instead of changing. He seems more aware than infants should be, tracking movements with uncanny focus. And he cries less than normal babies, Mrs. Hartley notes with suspicion. Almost like he's holding back. Like he knows he shouldn't make too much noise. Strange child. But he nurses normally. His heart beats fast but steady. He grows at a normal pace, at least initially. Whatever he is, half human, half vampire, something new and impossible, he's thriving. 6 weeks after the birth, something changes. Serafina is healing enough to move around properly, and Dante has settled into something resembling a routine. But one evening, when she tries to nurse him, he pulls away almost immediately and starts to cry. A frustrated, angry cry that she's never heard from him before. What's wrong? She tries again, but Dante refuses, turning his head away. He was hungry a moment ago. Why won't he? Lucian, who has just arrived for the evening, crosses to them immediately. Let me see him. She hands Dante over and the baby quiets in his father's arms, but his small face is pinched, unhappy. Lucian examines him carefully, then goes very still. Serafina. Look at his mouth. She leans in, peers at Dante's tiny face. The baby opens his mouth to fuss again and she gasps. There, barely visible but unmistakable, are 2 small white points. Not fully formed fangs, not like Lucian's. But definite small buds where canine teeth should eventually be. Oh God, Serafina whispers. His growing fangs. At 6 weeks old. That can't be normal. It seems his development is accelerated in certain ways. Teeth usually come in around 6 months for human children. For him it's 6 weeks. Lucian rocks Dante gently, and the baby presses his face against his father's chest, still fussing. I think he might need something other than milk. Or in addition to milk. Blood. Serafina's voice is flat, hollow. You think he needs blood? Perhaps. I don't know for certain. But if those are fangs coming in, his body might be telling us he needs to feed differently. That his vampire nature requires it. He's a baby. He's 6 weeks old. How am I supposed to? She stops, presses her hands to her face. What do I do? How do I feed him? Lucian thinks quickly, settles Dante more securely in his arms. We try milk first, with a small amount of blood mixed in. Just a little. We see if that satisfies him. If it does, we continue that way. If not, we adjust. Where do we get the blood? I can't kill animals for him. I can't. You don't have to. I can provide it. My blood. I'll give him small amounts, we'll mix it with your milk, see if that helps. He's already part vampire through the covenant, my blood can't change what he already is. But it might help him be healthy, help him grow properly. He meets her eyes. Serafina, I think this is what the covenant intended. A child who is both, who needs both parents to thrive. You give him humanity, connection, warmth. I give him what his vampire nature needs. Together, we keep him balanced. She's quiet for a long moment, clearly struggling with this new reality. Then she nods slowly. All right. We try it. But if it makes things worse, if he reacts badly, we stop immediately and find another way. Agreed. They prepare a bottle, the first bottle Dante has ever had, since he's been exclusively nursing. Serafina expresses milk while Lucien opens a vein and adds a few drops of his own blood. The mixture turns slightly pink, faintly sweet-smelling, and when they offer it to Dante, he takes it immediately. He drinks eagerly, hungrily, his small hands gripping the bottle with surprising strength. When the bottle is empty, he sighs contentedly and falls asleep in Lucien's arms, more peaceful than he's been in days. It worked, Serafina whispers, staring at her sleeping son. He needed both. Milk and blood. Human and vampire. God, what have we created? Something new, Lucien says quietly. Something that shouldn't exist but does. Something that needs us both to survive. You can't raise him alone. I can't raise him alone. We're bound together by him, by what he needs. She looks at Lucien holding their son, and something in her expression shifts. I've been so angry. So focused on what you did to me that I didn't think about what it means for him. He's going to grow up needing you. Not just for blood, but for guidance. For teaching him what he is. How to control whatever powers he has. I can't do that alone. You won't have to. I'm here. For as long as you'll have me. For as long as he needs me. He pauses. Which might be a very long time. I don't know what his lifespan will be, whether he'll age normally or live for centuries like me. We won't know for years, perhaps decades. But I'll be here. Through all of it. Forever, she tests the word. That's a long time to be bound to someone. It is. But I've lived 300 years already. I know what forever feels like. And I'd rather spend it helping you raise our son than spend it alone, drowning in regret. She crosses to him, looks down at Dante sleeping peacefully. I'm still angry at you. I'm still hurt. But I'm also, she pauses. I'm also grateful. That you're here. That you're trying. That you love him as much as I do. I love you both more than I've ever loved anything. More than I knew it was possible to love. She doesn't respond to that. Just reaches out and strokes Dante's soft hair, her fingers brushing against Lucien's hand. The touch is brief but deliberate, and it's the first time she sought contact with him since the birth. We should put him down, she says. Let him sleep properly. They settle Dante in his cradle together, a small wooden thing Mrs. Hartley found at the market. The baby doesn't even stir, deeply asleep, satisfied in a way he hasn't been since birth. They stand over him for a moment, two broken people looking at the impossible life they created. Lucien, Serafina says quietly, I can't promise you forgiveness. I can't promise you love. But I can promise you this, I will work with you to raise him. I will try to rebuild something between us. Not what we had. That's gone. But something new. Something honest. For his sake. For his sake, Lucien agrees. And for yours. And maybe, someday, for mine too. But mostly for his. Mostly for his, she echoes. It's not a declaration of love. It's not a renewal of vows. But it's a commitment. A promise to try. And maybe that's more valuable than love built on lies. Maybe this difficult, painful, honest attempt to build something real from ruins is what love actually looks like. Not easy. Not beautiful. But real. The months pass and Dante grows with startling speed. He sits up at 3 months, weeks earlier than human babies. He's crawling at 4 months, pulling himself up to stand at 5. His development is accelerated but not alarmingly so, Serafina tells herself. Just faster than normal. Stronger than normal. More aware. His eyes stay that dark, almost black color. Small fangs fully develop by 4 months, tiny and sharp but rarely visible unless he's feeding. He needs the mixture of milk and blood daily, and as he grows, the ratio shifts, less milk, more blood. By 6 months, he's drinking mostly blood with small amounts of solid food. They keep him mostly isolated, telling the few neighbors who ask that he's delicate, that the midwife recommended limited exposure to others. It helps that they're preparing to move. Lucien has been quietly arranging things, and when Mrs. Hartley passes away peacefully in her sleep 9 months after Dante's birth, the timing provides a natural transition. Mrs. Hartley's death hit Serafina hard. The old woman had become like family, the closest thing to a mother she'd ever known. She grieves deeply, and Lucien supports her through it, holding her when she cries, helping arrange the funeral, managing the practical details of settling the estate. When the boarding house must be sold to settle debts, leaving Serafina with nowhere to go, Lucien makes his offer. "Come with me," he says quietly. They're sitting in the kitchen, Dante asleep upstairs, surrounded by packed boxes. "There's a house, the manor where I lived when I first came to the valley. It's been empty, but I've had a caretaker maintaining it, keeping it in good condition. It's large enough for all of us, private enough that Dante can be himself without hiding so carefully. Come with me. Live there. You and Dante. That's too much. I can't. You can. You should. Serafina, it's practical. You need a place to live and I have one. Dante needs space to grow without constantly hiding his nature. And before you object, he holds up a hand. You'll have your own wing of the house. Complete privacy. Your own rooms, your own space. We'll be housemates, co-parents, nothing more unless you decide otherwise. And if I never decide otherwise? If we live separately for years? Then that's what we do. I'll wait as long as you need." She thinks about it for 3 days, weighs her options, talks to Dante about moving to a big house with Papa. The baby, already speaking simple words at 9 months old, seems delighted by the idea. Finally, she decides. They move to the manor in early summer. It's a beautiful place, stone walls covered in ivy, large windows that let in abundant light, gardens that have been maintained but need attention. Lucien has prepared everything, her wing furnished comfortably, Dante's room filled with toys and books, a large kitchen where they can share meals. They establish routines quickly. Lucien cares for Dante during the days while Serafina rests. His vampire nature means he doesn't need sleep, so he can watch the active toddler without exhaustion. She takes over evening duties while Lucien hunts for the blood he needs, ranging far from the manor to feed on travelers and animals, taking only what he must to maintain his strength and provide for Dante. They share meals in the kitchen, play with Dante in the gardens, slowly build a life that resembles a family. Serafina begins tending the gardens, coaxing roses to bloom and vegetables to grow. Lucien reads to Dante every night, teaching him letters and numbers at a pace that matches the child's accelerated development. 6 months after they move to the manor, 2 church officials arrive unannounced. Serafina sees them coming up the drive, 2 men in dark robes with silver medallions, and her heart seizes with fear. She calls for Lucien, grabs Dante, and holds him close. The officials are not hunters. They're scholars, they explain. Sent to examine the child that was reported 18 months ago. The hunters who spared them had indeed reported to the church, and after much deliberation, the church had decided to investigate. For 3 tense days, the scholars observe Dante. They watch him play, note his unusual development, examine him with clinical precision. They speak with both Serafina and Lucien, ask questions about the child's nature, his needs, his temperament. Dante, remarkably, seems to understand the importance of the situation. His calm, gentle, shows none of the strength or speed he's capable of. On the 3rd day, the scholars deliver their verdict. Serafina and Lucien sit in the manor's library, Dante playing quietly nearby, while the older scholar speaks. The child shows no signs of demonic possession. No evidence of bloodlust. No indication that he poses a threat to humanity. He is unprecedented, neither fully vampire nor fully human, but something entirely new. After extensive discussion, the church has decided not to intervene. The child will be monitored, yes. We will send someone to check on him periodically. But unless he shows signs of becoming dangerous, he will be permitted to live in peace. Serafina almost collapses with relief. Lucien's hand finds hers and squeezes tight. Thank you, Lucien says, his voice rough with emotion. Thank you for your mercy. I know we don't deserve it. The younger scholar speaks then. The hunters who spared you spoke of courage and sacrifice. Of a vampire who gave up his kingdom for love and a woman who defended a monster. Those testimonies carried significant weight. The Church is not incapable of mercy. When circumstances warrant it, he looks at Dante. Raise him well. Teach him to value human life. Ensure that what he is doesn't define what he becomes. We will, Serafina promises. I swear it. After the scholars leave, Serafina holds Dante close and cries, tears of relief and residual fear. Lucien wraps his arms around them both, and they stand there in the library for a long time, a family that almost wasn't allowed to exist, grateful for a mercy they never expected. Life settles into a new rhythm after that. Dante continues to grow and develop rapidly. By his first birthday, he's speaking in full sentences and walking with confidence. By 18 months, he's reading simple books and showing remarkable intelligence. But he's gentle with animals, kind to the few children they occasionally encounter in the village, devoted to both his parents equally. He learns early that he's different. That he needs blood to thrive, that his fangs must be hidden, that his strength must be controlled. Lucien teaches him carefully, patiently, showing him how to manage his vampire nature. Serafina teaches him humanity, empathy, kindness, the value of life. The perfect blend of both. Serafina and Lucien's relationship continues to evolve slowly. They're not lovers, haven't been intimate since before the betrayal. But they're partners in parenting, friends of a sort, two people learning to build something honest from dishonest beginnings. They share meals, share responsibilities for Dante, share conversations late into the night about everything and nothing. She notices the changes in herself, the sharper senses, the faster healing, the strange occasional craving for blood that Lucien helps her satisfy with small amounts from his own veins. She adapts to them, incorporates them into her understanding of who she is now. Not quite human anymore, but not vampire either. Something in between, like their son. 18 months after moving to the manor, something happens that brings everything to a head. Serafina is putting Dante to bed, the toddler is fighting sleep despite obvious exhaustion, and Lucien is sitting in the corner of the room, reading aloud from one of the poetry books. His voice is low, soothing, and gradually Dante's eyes begin to close. When the child is finally asleep, Serafina straightens from the bed and looks at Lucien. Really looks at him, not with anger or pain or wariness, but with something softer. You're good at this, she says quietly. Being a father. I didn't think you would be. But you are. I'm trying. I don't know if I'm good at it, but I'm trying every day. You are good at it. Dante loves you. He lights up when he sees you. He reaches for you when he's tired or scared. He trusts you completely. That's not nothing. It's everything. Lucien closes the book, sets it aside. His everything. You're everything. She's quiet for a moment, something working behind her eyes. Then, I think I'm ready. To talk about what happened. Really talk about it. Not just acknowledge it and move on, but actually discuss it. Work through it. Process all of it. If you're willing. His heart, his dead heart that shouldn't feel anything, seems to leap. I'm willing. I'm ready. Whatever you need to say, however long it takes, I'll listen. They go down to the library, make tea, settle into the comfortable chairs by the fire. And finally, 2 years after the betrayal, they begin the real work of healing. She asks him to tell her again about his plan, about every detail, about what he was thinking and feeling at each stage. He does, holds nothing back, explains the twisted logic that made it seem justified. Explains how hate became an identity, how revenge became his only purpose, how he'd hollowed himself out until there was nothing left but the desire to hurt the man who hurt him. She asks about the moments she thought were real. The first kiss. The wedding night. The mornings waking up beside her. Were any of them genuine? He explains that most of them were. That by the second week, his plan was already falling apart because his feelings were getting in the way. That by the wedding, he was deeply in love with her but couldn't admit it to himself. That the wedding night was genuine emotion, genuine vulnerability, which is why the blood covenant activated. I was planning to destroy you, he says, but I was also desperately, hopelessly in love with you. Both things were true at once. I was monstrously cruel and genuinely devoted. The contradiction was tearing me apart, but I couldn't see a way out that didn't mean betraying Irina's memory or admitting I'd become something she would have despised. Serafina absorbs this, processes it. Then, when you told me the truth that night, part of me died. Not the part that loved you, that was already dead by the time you finished explaining. But the part that believed I could be chosen. That believed I could matter to someone. You didn't just break my heart. You broke my ability to trust my own judgment. How do I know I'm not being deceived now? How do I know this isn't another long game? You don't. He meets her eyes, refuses to look away. You can't know. All you have is my word, which is worthless because I proved I'm capable of lying. And my actions over the past 2 years, which could still be deception. There's no way I can prove to you that this is real. You just have to decide whether to take the risk. That's not comforting. It's not meant to be comforting. I can't comfort you about this. I can only tell you the truth. I love you, I'm trying to be worthy of you, and you'll never be completely certain I'm not deceiving you again. That uncertainty is part of the price you pay for giving me a second chance. And it's profoundly unfair to you. She's quiet for a long time, staring into the fire. Then, I appreciate that you're not trying to convince me. That you're acknowledging how unfair this is. That helps, somehow. Makes it feel more honest. They talk through the night. She tells him about the journey down the mountain, about the terror and exhaustion and determination not to let his betrayal destroy her completely. About the months in Ashford, learning to survive, building a life from nothing. About the loneliness of pregnancy, the fear of childbirth, the overwhelming responsibility of new motherhood. He tells her about following her, about the threats he eliminated, about dismantling his kingdom and making himself vulnerable. About the assassination attempts, 3 vampires who tried to kill him when word spread that he'd weakened himself. About the loss of his power, the way he burned through his strength to keep her safe. About watching her from the shadows and wanting desperately to be near her but knowing he'd forfeited that right. As dawn approaches, Serafina finally asks the question she's been building toward. Do you think we can ever have what we had before? That feeling of safety, of being chosen, of trusting completely? No, he doesn't hesitate, doesn't soften it. We can never have that again. I destroyed it. But we might be able to build something new. Something more honest, more realistic. Something that acknowledges we're both broken and flawed and capable of hurting each other. It won't be the fairy tale we had at the lodge. But it might be better, because it will be real. Real, she echoes. That's what you said that night. That what you felt was real. It was. It is. But real doesn't mean good. Real doesn't mean safe. Real just means true. And the truth is complicated and painful and doesn't resolve neatly. But it's better than pretty lies. She nods slowly. I think I'd like to try. To build something real. Something new. I don't know if I can ever love you the way I did before, with that innocent trust. But I think I could learn to love you differently. Love you honestly, knowing exactly what you are. Monster and man. Cruel and kind. Broken and trying to heal. All of it. That's all I could ever ask for. All I deserve. More than I deserve. The sun is rising, sending pale light through the library windows. Lucien stands to leave. He needs to be away before the sun grows too strong. But Serafina stops him. Lucien. Thank you. For being honest. For not trying to pretend it's easier than it is. For acknowledging that some things can't be fixed, only rebuilt. Always. From now on, always honest. Even when it's ugly. Especially when it's ugly. He leaves as the first rays of true sunlight touch the grounds, disappearing into the shaded parts of the manor. Serafina watches him go, then turns back to the library, to the home they've built, the life they're living. Something has shifted. Some weight she's been carrying has eased slightly. It's not forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But it's progress. And maybe progress is enough for now. 2 years becomes 3. 3 becomes 4. Dante grows into a remarkable child, quick, strong, intelligent beyond his years, with an uncanny ability to sense emotions in others and respond with appropriate gentleness or enthusiasm. He's careful with animals, kind to other children during their rare visits to the village, devoted to both his parents equally. He needs less blood as he gets older, his body adapting. By age 3, he requires Lucien's blood only twice a week, supplemented by normal food. His fangs remain but are easily hidden. His eyes stay that dark color, but people simply think it a family trait. He could almost pass for an unusual human child. Just precocious. Just different. But he's happy. That's what matters most to Serafina. Despite everything, despite the circumstances of his conception, despite his hybrid nature, despite the complications of his existence, Dante is a happy, loving child who brings joy to everyone he encounters. And watching Lucien with their son, patient and devoted and endlessly careful, Serafina feels something shift inside her that she thought was dead forever. 4 years after the betrayal, on a quiet evening after Dante has gone to bed, she finds Lucien in the library. His reading, as he often does, surrounded by books that have accumulated over centuries of collecting. "Lucien," she says quietly. He looks up immediately, giving her his full attention the way he always does. "What do you need?" "I need to tell you something." She sits in the chair across from him, her heart hammering. "I've been thinking. About us. About everything that's happened." He sets his book aside, and she can see tension in every line of his body, fear that she's about to tell him this arrangement isn't working, that she needs him to leave. "I forgive you," she says. He goes absolutely still. "What?" "I forgive you. For the betrayal. For the lies. For everything." She leans forward, her expression serious, her voice steady. "I'm not saying I trust you completely. I'm not saying the hurt is gone, it will probably always be there, at least a little. But I'm saying I choose to forgive you. I choose to stop holding it against you. I choose to move forward instead of staying trapped in the past." "Serafina," his voice breaks. "I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me. Because holding on to anger and pain was poisoning me. Because Dante deserves parents who aren't trapped in old wounds. And because," she takes a breath. "Because I've watched you for 4 years now. Watched you be patient and kind and devoted. Watched you choose us over and over again. Watched you become the man I thought Cassian was. And I realized something." "What?" The word is barely audible. "That Cassian wasn't real. But you are. The man you've become over these 4 years, that man is real. And I think I could love him. Not the way I loved Cassian, because that love was based on a fantasy. But honestly. Completely. With full knowledge of what you are and what you've done." He's crying now. Tears streaming down his face, his shoulders shaking, 300 years of pain and regret breaking open. "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. I never have. No, you don't. But I'm choosing to give it to you anyway. Because love isn't about deserving. It's about choosing. And I choose you. Finally. Completely. I choose you, Lucien." He crosses to her in an instant, drops to his knees before her chair, and she frames his face with her hands. "I love you," she says, and means it with every part of herself. "I love you, Lucien. The real you. Monster and man. Past and present. All of it. I love you." He breathes against her hands. "I have loved you since that afternoon at the lodge, and I will love you until the sun burns out and the stars go dark and the universe collapses back into nothing. You are everything. Everything." She kisses him. It's different from the kisses at the lodge, less desperate, less hungry, but deeper somehow. More real. Built on truth instead of lies, on choice instead of manipulation, on 4 years of slow, painful, honest rebuilding. When they break apart, she's smiling through her own tears. "We should probably take this slowly. 4 years of sleeping separately isn't erased in one conversation. As slow as you need. I've waited 4 years. I can wait as long as you need me to." I know you will. She stands, takes his hand, pulls him to his feet. But I don't think you'll have to wait much longer. I think maybe we've both waited long enough. That night, for the first time in 4 years, they share a bed. Not for passion, though that will come eventually, when she's ready. Just to sleep beside each other, to wake up together, to begin again with honesty instead of deception. The sun rises on a family that's been broken and repaired so many times the cracks themselves have become part of the pattern, until the broken places are stronger than the original whole. Dante wakes early and comes running to find them. He stops in the doorway of Lucien's room, sees his parents together in the bed, and his face lights up with pure joy. Mama, Papa, you're together. He launches himself onto the bed and Serafina catches him with a laugh, pulling him between them. They spend the morning as a family, a real family, finally. Honest and imperfect and choosing each other every day. It's not a fairy tale ending. There's no magic that makes the past disappear, no spell that erases 4 years of pain. Serafina will always carry the scar of that betrayal. Lucien will always carry the guilt of what he did. And Dante will grow up knowing his parents' history, knowing that love can be complicated and painful and still worth choosing. But it's real. Built on truth and choice and the slow, difficult work of becoming better than what they were. And real is better than any fantasy could ever be. As they sit together in the morning light, Dante chattering happily between them, Serafina's hand in Lucien's, the future stretching uncertain but theirs to shape, they are proof that even poisoned roots can grow something beautiful. That even monsters can choose to be more. That even the deepest wounds can heal if you're willing to do the work. Not perfect. Not painless. But real. And real is everything.